Hi, it's me again. It's Soni. I'm doing another session of Soni's Running Her Mouth, something that I enjoy doing tremendously. For those of you that don't know me, if this is your first time, I'm Soni Weiss. I'm a transpersonal counselor. I'm a past life regressionist, a clinical hypnotherapist, a relationship counselor, a metaphysician, and a bunch of other things. And you can go to my website, soniweiss.com, and learn all about me. And you can write to me through it. So tonight, I want to talk about power, personal power, power in general, because it's something that's very important in all of our lives. And to my son, by the way, it's the reason, who told me that I needed to comb my hair when he saw the last thing that I did. Stu, I did comb my hair, and this is the best that it gets. Okay, he does this kind of stuff for a living. So let's talk about power. Last year was an 8-year for me, and we all go in cycles of 9 years. It's the way that the universe sort of kind of works for some of us. At least we think it does. And if you want to, by the way, find out what your numbers are in numerology, I suggest that you go to Christine DeLoray's website, Creative Numerology. She's great. I've had a lot of reports and stuff done over the years, and she's one of the best. She has a free newsletter that you can get. She's got it up there, how to establish, figure out what your numbers are, and you might find it to be really helpful. I did. I got a report from her, and it was fantastic. So go there and take a peek at this stuff. Anyway, 8 is about power, and I am a 4 in numerology, 22-4, so that's 2 2s, and 2s are about commitments and relationships. So and 8 is the primary lesson that I came into this dimension to learn in this lifetime. So relationships and power within relationships are very important to me, and something that I need to master. It's something that I need to master. And mastering something is not easy. Ask any Olympic champion, and they'll tell you. So in this lifetime, relationships have been difficult for me. And you're getting the benefits of this because I'm learning all about it, and I'm sharing it with you. And I came in for a life of service. So it comes out in this way. I've had 8 years before, but this last one was really powerful. Maybe because I was more ready for it. Maybe because I'm older. And I figured out that it wasn't about power over other people, that actually it's power over us. Because that's the only power that we really have, is controlling us. We really don't have that much power in the world. But what you do have is the power to control yourself and how you're going to respond to any given situation. So when you're working an 8-year, you're going to be given opportunities to question your values and beliefs and all of that type of thing that actually makes you who you are. And for me, it was really a lot about learning patience and self-discipline, which is a form of power. Neither of which I came in with, I can assure you. And anybody that knows me will attest to that. I also got a heavy dose of opportunity to learn the difference between knowing and knowing of. Knowing is in your gut. It's what you came in here to do when you decided to make the contract to come into this dimension. You came in here because you wanted to know things, not just know of. Know of is in your head. It's theory. And when you're on the other side, because you have no emotions, no body, you blend your mind like Mr. Spock did, and mind melds, and so nothing is yours. Everybody gets together. And knowing is what enhances your soul. You have to experience everything in order to really make the ascension, so you don't have to come back. So now we have to learn the difference between power and force. The famed psychiatrist and metaphysician David Hawkins, he wrote extensively about this. I think he wrote about 7 books. And very good. It's called, the first one was Power versus Force. And it's a good read. It's a hard, all of his books are hard reads. So, but I think you enjoy that if you're interested in this kind of stuff. 8 is also about balance and personal and spiritual issues, not just power and force in the 3rd dimension. It's all about what we're going to reap from what we sowed. So believe me, you want to be careful what you're sowing in this lifetime, because you will reap it. You're going to harvest that one of these days, and that harvest is actually what karma is. You put Newton's 3rd law of physics. Action gets reaction. So be careful what the choices that you make. If you're old enough in the spirit, you'll reap it back in this lifetime. And when you're dealing with power, actually, or even force, what you have to learn how to do is let go. You have to let go. And I know that's easy for me to say, and it can be very uncomfortable learning to let go of control, which is a great deal of what 8 is about. And that's a great deal of what we have to learn to do in our relationships. And everything is a relationship in our life, whether it's to your job, your dog, your kids, your husband, your country. It's all about relationships. It takes a lot of faith to be able to let go. And it's going to take a connection with something that's more than ourselves. And who or whatever you want to call that. Because if you want to master your life, your soul, your destiny, then you need to have a connection with something else besides yourself. And how you do that is up to you, but that's what metaphysics is about too. In the I Ching, the Book of Changes, there's a reference that says something like, a man can't lose what's his. It's his, it's going to come back. And I actually have seen physical things that have lost turn up in 60, 70 miles away because it was time for it to come back. And years later, bizarre things I've seen happen. But too, there's no time, linear time, except in this dimension in man's mind. So it doesn't make any difference when the universe returns something to me that I've lost. It's just returning it. And we probably live in more than one dimension at a time if you want to stretch your mind out. Richard Bach wrote about this in his book called Illusions. Well, this leads to karma and debt. That's where my mind works. Karma, as I said, is reaping what we sow. It is experiencing the situations, learning lessons so that we know them, so that they're inside of us. And we don't even have to think about making a choice. It just is our reaction. Because this is what we believe, and this is how we're going to handle it. When dealing with karma, I don't think you can clear somebody else's karma. Some people think you can. I don't. I think it works a little bit differently, but I don't know everything. I haven't experienced everything. So I guess it's as good as somebody else's. But I do past life regression work, and I've done a lot of regression work on myself and other people. And when we go in there and we experience the past lives, what we're doing is we're looking for the patterns, at least when I do it. I won't take you back just to see if you were the Queen of Sheba. But it's when I do regression work, it's to help you, clear up, make this lifetime easier. And what you do is we look for the patterns. Because if you don't learn the lesson, you're going to come in keep coming back in until you learn that lesson. So you might as well learn it in this lifetime, or you're just going to keep going out and doing it over and over again. So when we're in a karmic situation, say with somebody else, I certainly can let go of my part of it, accept my debt, where I screwed up or whatever the case may be, and do forgiveness work with the other person, accept, that I had betrayed them or abandoned them, whatever the situation is that we're dealing with. And what that will do, it will clear up the karmic DNA that may go through my family, but it doesn't release them from their part of the contract. And I think what happens is, okay, I don't have to come back and do that over again. But if they didn't learn the lesson from it, that relationship that we had together, then they're going to have to work it out with somebody else. Some other soulmate's going to come in and do that. I can think of a lifetime that I had with someone that I recognized, and in that lifetime, that person actually killed me. And it was a great shock and surprise to me. It was an issue of jealousy in a situation where I was a younger woman and this was an older man. And he was jealousy. I certainly was not having any issues. I actually loved this guy, even though he was old enough to be my father. But back then, they were arranged marriages anyway. But I really did. And I went back to that life, and I saw it. And he shot me. And as I was dying, I forgave him. I was so surprised that he did this because I genuinely loved him. I wasn't fooling around on anybody. I was just young and gregarious and having fun. But he was insecure. And so I didn't get that lifetime coming back with him in this dimension. We had more than one lifetime together, other things that weren't clear. But in that particular lifetime, and it was so interesting that this individual in this lifetime had a similar situation with a younger woman. And it was very, very traumatic in this lifetime and made a tremendous influence on his life. So that was, I didn't have to do that, live that again with him. But he had to live it with somebody else because he had to learn the lesson. And the same thing happened to him. Very interesting how these things work out. But I digress. But what you can do when you do regression work is you see the patterns. And then you do the forgiveness work and you do the clearing. That will help you in this lifetime. Because you still have to learn the lessons and recognize them in this third dimension. It can go a lot faster if you're going to do that. I've seen it help many people. I've only done one person that didn't get it. And this lifetime was horrible for them. They got hit by the 6x6 because lifetime after lifetime, they never got it. They weren't willing to do their work. So this lifetime, they really got hit by a 6x6. And I don't know, it's going to be a 10-ton truck the next time. So you can hold the space for somebody else. Okay, you can do that, and when you give them unconditional love, then that holds the space for them, so they feel safe enough that they'll be able to clear their part of the karma with you. It kind of sort of goes like that. So karma is your lessons, and it's how you get to know, not just know of. And it's part of the process of how we raise our level of consciousness. And you clear your karma simply by letting go. Let go of the attachments. Unconditional love. And unconditional love is love without expectations of outcome. That's hard to do. Believe me, It's hard to do. Letting go of the things that hold us together, in these relationships, like anger and resentment and pain and shame, naming every negative and painful emotion there is. And that's what really holds the relationships from going on, from making progress in our spiritual development. I ask you to consider if your relationships are working out somewhere. If you're not working out right, then what have you not let go of? There's some event in some time and place and space that just keeps coming back. And so if you have relationships that are not working out, there is a lesson in there. And once you learn that lesson and you say, here's the epiphany. I don't realize I've been a bully. That was a hard one for me. Yeah, I didn't like that. And I was dealing with a bully. Someone with a lot of aggression and anger. And then I saw that as a mirror, and I realized I'm doing the same thing, but it's in a different way. That was hard. That was hard. But what it did was, it helped me learn to let go of my anger. I used to get really angry all the time. But when I got it from somebody else, this mirror, then I learned to let go of it. Because if you don't work it out in this lifetime, you may see the pattern and you say, oh my God, I've done this for so many times. You got to let go of it too and change the behavior. You got to make another choice. You have to make a different choice and move on. God doesn't want to punish you. We just have to change our behavior. And that's why if you don't, you're just going to keep doing it over and over again. And this is why I don't think suicide is particularly a good choice. I understand why people do it. I've worked in hospitals as a respiratory therapist for 30 years. I totally understand that. I'm a counselor. I take exception for physical disease because as a medical professional, we can keep you alive much longer than you would naturally. You would have died and you wouldn't have to suffer this pain. But suicide is not a cure for emotional pain because you're just going to have to come out and do the lesson over again. So you might as well do it now. And that's a choice. I'm not judging somebody. God knows I'm not judging. I have no position to judge any other human being because I have probably made every mistake there is. I've lived almost long enough to do that. And I'm a really old soul. And I've seen too many suicides. And they're going to have to come back and do it again. Like I say, if you've got some horrible, bone cancer, choosing not to have that treated, choosing to overdose, I certainly can understand that. You would have died a lot sooner if we didn't keep helping you out. I have this friend who has a rare muscular disease she's had from the time that she was a child. And she can only move one thumb. She's in a chair. And she runs the computer and everything by using Dragon. And I asked her why she keeps on, because most of the people with her disorder, they died when they were 7, 14 at most. She'll be 50 next week. Ooh, next week. She's a ragdoll. Her situation is my worst nightmare come true, believe me. And this is one of the people that I admire so much, because no way could I do what she done. I couldn't. I've not reached that spiritual level, believe me. She is so mentally strong and spiritually ascendant that she could walk out any time that she wanted to, and she doesn't have any debts to pay, for God's sake. Not what she's been through, not what she's learned. And I asked her, why do you do this? Because she's in physical pain all the time. And she told me that she had committed suicide in a previous life. And that pain was nothing compared to what she's feeling mentally and physically in this lifetime. And she said, I missed so many opportunities for growth if I would have stuck it out. And so, when she chose to come back in this time, she chose to do it the hard way. So she won't, and she keeps hanging on because she says she doesn't want to miss any time and miss any opportunity. And she doesn't want to come back and do it all right. And neither do I, believe me. And she and I had many lifetimes together. Many lifetimes. We fought back to back, like Templars, and died together. And she's going to go out as a warrior again. She's going to leave this lifetime as a warrior. Absolutely amazing soul. Amazing soul. But she's learned, she's learned all of these lessons that she doesn't. She'll tell you when she was young, she felt sorry for herself and blamed her parent, all this other stuff, but not anymore. Not anymore. She has learned unconditional love. And God has blessed me with her coming back and bringing me into her life. God has blessed me. Traumatic deaths, will connect us pretty strongly to other people that we come back with them. Yeah, we do that. As does the vows that we make at the time of our death. And it's like her and I, dying together. I know somebody else that I've died together more. And those vows that we make, that's going to bring us back in together to have lifetimes to work things out. And these are some of the harder things to release, these kind of karmic relationships. You have to work at those. Because whatever we don't complete and we don't work out, it's going to bring us back together again. Not necessarily in the same relationships, like she and I were warriors together. And, sometimes we're males, sometimes we're females. We reverse the roles so that we get to experience both sides of the situation. That instant friendship that you make, that closeness, that you just, wow, you're just together. That's an old lifetime connection. You recognize the energy because the soul energy never changes. It's like a thumbprint. You recognize it. Spirit changes. Spirit is the identity that we take on in this lifetime. I'm Soni Weiss in this lifetime. In the lifetime with her, with Irene, I was a Knight Templar. We were both Knight Templars. I was male. In another lifetime, I was a thin blonde. God, I was so cute when he shot me. Now I'm old and fat. But you always recognize the vibrational energy. So that person that, even the one that you may not like and you don't trust when you immediately need to, and I've met those too, right off the bat. No way. That's because you have had a relationship in the past with them that didn't work out well. But again, most of those you have to work them on this lifetime. So doing the regression work, you can break some of those things, your forgiveness and all of that. But that person may have to come back in so that they can work out with you their end of it. Okay. But everything has to be done in this third dimension. Okay. And we have to own this kind of stuff. You can only change what you own. Okay, I can't change the other guy. I got to change and own my stuff. And we have to own our part of the interaction. We have to give up the negative emotions like vengeance, anger, getting even. And then we have to be able to understand the other guy's situation. When we own our own stuff and there's a past life and we're doing some of the stuff here, we have to own, I recognize that I betrayed you. I recognize it. And I abandon you, or whatever that may be. And so you don't fight that. You surrender to it. You surrender to it. And you say, I'm sorry. I've learned my lesson, and I'm sorry, and I want to let go of this relationship. But I'm willing to take whatever you want to give me. I deserve it. That's really a shit. Okay? And when you own that and you do that, and you let go of it, and you say, okay, whatever you want to give me, I'll do it. I won't fight you. I'm not going to fight you. Stuff falls away. Now what are they going to do? And you send them unconditional love because you can see the pain that they're in. They're in pain. All this stuff is about pain. And I did that in one situation and one lifetime that I recognized that I was having, some stuff here. And I said to that person, your head, in a regression, I said, I really did you wrong. I'm sorry. I recognize that. I own it. It's mine. And I'll take whatever my karma is for that. Actually, I already had miserable experience. But what I want to ask you to look at, with all the anger and the vengeance that you want to get back to me, I'll take it. But what's that doing to you? How is your life? What are you paying for? And in that conversation, in that regression, they recognized that their life was miserable. They broke the card as well as I did. And the relationship changed tremendously for me and for that person. And that's what you want to do. That's how you break the karmic ties. You break it with love. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. Anger doesn't get you anything. Doesn't work. Believe me. Believe me. Sometimes, in the past lives, we're the victim. Sometimes we're the predator. And sometimes people don't like, they're afraid to do past life work because they don't want to find out they're a predator. It takes a lot of courage to own your stuff. There's a lot of courage to own your stuff. But we have to at some point. We have to see who we were in order to know who we are now and to reach our highest potential. Because when we see who we are, we can forgive ourselves. And that's what a lot of this is. It's about forgiving ourselves. Because we don't feel worthy. We don't feel worthy even on an unconscious level. It affects our self-esteem. We've got to replace these negative emotions with love. And I'm not talking about romantic love, although I'm all for that. Love and lust is what, puts the icing on the cake. But that's not what we're talking about. And that isn't a slam dunk for most of us. And what we do, I'm talking about, agape love. It's a Greco-Christian term referring to the love in the highest form of love. Charity and the love of God for man and man of God. A love that we as humans can give each other when we get rid of our baggage. Most of what we call love is manipulating each other. It's trying to force things. It's control issues and working out all the hang-ups that we have. But when you can get to that point where you love yourself, then and let go of the control, then other people can come in and love you too. So you're getting a lot of that. Life is all about relationships. It is. And everything's a relationship. Your work, your family, your country. So on some level, you're working relationships. And this is going to emphasize the difference between power and force. Do we have power issues? Control issues? I do. I didn't think about it until somebody told me. And they said, I thought about control issues. And I said, you got to be kidding me. You didn't understand that you had control issues? And I started asking, other friends. And unfortunately, they confirmed that. And, so I've been working on it. I worked on it all last year. And since I really worked on that and letting go, and it was very difficult. Don't get me wrong, life is difficult at best. Sometimes it just is absolutely horrifying for some people. It's terrible. But my life has changed. It can change considerably. Love is letting go. It is not controlling something. And control situations will test our beliefs. Believe me, they will test our beliefs. And there's people that come into our lives that we made soul contracts with, who are going to help us learn about letting go and about control and about loving and the difference between power and force. And these can be turbulent relationships. And that's the article that I did on the egotist in your life, the narcissist. Love does not control. That's not love. It's not love. You can't control somebody else and want to, then you're not loving them. So you want to be aware that if you're doing something and it's not coming from unconditional love, and it's coming from force. And as long as you're still working from force, then you're making karma. And you're going to have to do something with it now or then. And we've got to work it out in this dimension. And in order to do that, we have to be vulnerable. And we have to be honest. And we have to be honest with ourselves. You may bullshit somebody else, but you got to be honest with yourself and own your stuff. And if you start being vulnerable and honest, you're going to begin to realize that you really are able to handle what comes up. And the reason that we play games is we're afraid that we can't handle the situation, that we're going to get hurt. And we are going to get hurt. Because pain is simply our body's way of saying to us, yoo-hoo, this situation needs some attention. What are you going to do about it? If we work on these situations and we clear these lessons up and we deal with them and clear them, then it's only going to be minor pain, the kind of pain like, when you're learning how to do jujitsu or hockey or basketball. Your muscles hurt, you fall down, you hurt yourself. I'll even learn how to walk as a kid. That can be painful. You fall down, you pick yourself up. But you learn how to do it. And this is how you learn self-respect. And this is how you learn who you are and what you value. And when you value yourself and you know that you will be able to get through this, nobody else has control over you. You're controlling yourself. And when you love yourself, it's not because you're perfect, because nobody's perfect. But we're good enough. We're good enough. You're good enough. I'm good enough. And when we know and we can say to ourselves, okay, I'm not perfect, but I'm good enough, then you can look at that guy over there and you can say, you know what? You're not perfect, but you're good enough. And that's okay. And I'm going to love you because you're good enough. Because it feels good to love other people. It really does. Anger and vengeance and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, man, that's toxic. We get so much into that habit of protecting ourselves with our anger. But when we feel good about ourselves and we love ourselves, then we can love somebody else. And I think that's what really feels good. Listen to your body. It talks to you through your feelings. If it doesn't feel good, it ain't love. Chuck Spezzano. Yeah. So, read his books, Great Relationship Counselor. So, I hope you enjoy these. And if I can help you with anything, give me a call. The number's up on my website. I give a free half-hour consultation. Besides, I like doing it. Maybe you'll enjoy yourself. I always do. I did come here.